going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign of what's going to happen to these other workers moving forward.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And guys, I come back with that video just to make you think. And like I went over my video earlier, we have the politicians, and then also we have the billionaires right in this Gamestop situation to bring in the fourth industrial revolution, and then also Society 5.0. Now, guys, we know that the stock market has been a gambling casino. We've had naked shorts. We've had the Fed actually telling you what stocks they're buying. Manipulation, guys. Now we have the politicians and billionaires coming out. We have Tim Draper basically leading you to Bitcoin, DeFi. Hey, we're for the little guy when we know Tim Draper got his Bitcoin in the auction. Barely paid anything for it. We also have Elizabeth Warren talking about the stock market as being a casino. It has been a casino. But now they're revving it up because they're ready to change the laws. As Brad Sherman stated, he's not in favor of short selling. The fact is, guys, they want the little guy not to be able to do this. Like I stated in my previous video, they want us to be long-term investors. Everything else, guys, for the rich, they want to be done behind the curtain. We also had Anthony Scaramucci, the hedge fund guy. Now, remember, guys, he was in the White House for 1 week before he got fired. They bring in the cronies. They bring in these same people. We see them constantly. Tim Draper, Mike Novogratz, Chamath. Now, guys, they know that when it comes to these billionaires, the masses are going to listen. Now you have these same billionaires siding for the little guy when they're a billionaire. Now, why would the billionaire be on the side of the little guy? Guys, that makes no sense whatsoever. They are nothing but puppets in the system to move you towards the New World Order goal. That's the reason why I've constantly done videos on the fourth industrial revolution. Check out my Society 5.0 video. Guys, the algorithms, the drones, the robots are definitely coming to you. So the fact is they have to move you over. They're doing nothing but destroying this current legacy system so they can tokenize it and put it on blockchain where you're not going to be able to make money off of it. That's the whole point. So don't get caught in the drama. Make your money. Because remember, when it comes to the New World Order, everything is planned out. Y'all have a wonderful day.
Chair Waters didn't mention Robinhood by name when she announced these hearings that we think we'll get. No date either. But is the hearing about Robinhood, or is it something larger, do you think?
Well, I think it'll get larger than just this one GameStop situation with Robinhood. A decision will be made as to whether those hearings are at the full committee level or before the Capital Markets Subcommittee that I chair. And I think we have to look not just on how the markets affect the participants, but how they affect the entire economy. I'm not a fan of day trading. I'm not a fan of short selling. What we want to see our capital markets do is to provide capital for businesses that are actually functioning out there in the economy. All this talk about GameStop, and the company hasn't received any of this money. It's not building any new stores. I don't think the capital market should be a casino. If they are, to the extent they are, we got to make sure it's a fair casino. But what I'd much rather do is go back to a period of time when the average stock was held for 4 years rather than just for 6 months.
Senator Toomey notwithstanding, we did see. Go ahead.
I'm not proposing some law that says you buy a stock, you have to hold it for a year. But we ought to have financial education in our high schools and colleges so that people realize that the purpose of investing in a stock is because you believe it'll go up over the long term, not because you believe that you're going to beat the market by 6 seconds or 6 minutes.
Well, Congressman, the horseman left the barn on that one. I mean, advances in technology make it so that just by picking up your phone, you can trade stocks, sell, buy within seconds. It's unclear that's going to change.
Yeah, that doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
Technology allows you to drive a car over a cliff.
Yeah, right.
I had driver's education. They told me not to do that.
No, and you're right. There is a lot of education. It's frankly what we try to do here, although many would attack us for actually doing that. It's been a fascinating week to watch. I wonder when you talk about short selling as well, I would point out, and it's hard to defend in certain areas, but there are short sellers also who've uncovered frauds in the market through the years. When I used to do more reporting on that, working with some of them, they were excellent policemen for the market. So, every regulation has brings something else that unexpected. I just wonder how much you think really can be done here when there's a full understanding of what's occurred.
Well, in the UK and in Europe, there's disclosure whenever you have a short position of over 0.5% of the stock outstanding. We ought to take a look at adopting that. It hasn't destroyed the stock markets of the UK and the EU.
What's the lesson here about the way markets are changing from what we're seeing? And I know that besides being early in Robinhood, you were also early in Tesla. Tesla's been dogged by shorts in the past. I'm sure you're not crying any tears for the likes of Citron either. What's this new era that we're entering into?
Well, I think if the government locks people up in their house for long enough, those people figure out ways of gaming and then eventually breaking the system. This is really, to the that Reddit investor group, my hat's off to you. That is amazing what you've done to take a company that's clearly on its last legs and bolster it up with investment and send a ripple through the, or I don't know if a ripple's the right word, but through the
tidal
fear,
wave,
through the minds of these short sellers. And it's true, the short sellers, they make money on, they're like the undertakers of the financial community. They make money on the harm of others. But
sometimes, I mentioned before,
but
the mortgage-backed securities,
they do create liquidity.
The Big Short, Enron, sometimes the shorts will do investors a service, right?
They will highlight things that need to be highlighted, absolutely. And they create more liquidity in the market, and that is an absolute.
In the market, let's bring in another voice into this conversation now. Anthony Scaramucci of Skybridge Capital joining us. Anthony, good to see you.
Good to be here, Scott.
An incredible week. Certainly, we've heard from a number of important voices on our program this week. I know that you've talked to a number in your own right. What's your big takeaway?
Well, listen, it was bound to happen. You have a full-on decentralization and democratization of trading. That the trader now through the palm, the smartphone, is getting all the same information as, say, a Goldman Sachs prop trader in the mid to late 90s. And so this was bound to happen. These people are smarter than people think. I do believe that Leon Cooperman is going to be right, though, that it ends in tears for many people. Because ultimately, as you know, what's happening, and this is what got Robinhood in trouble yesterday, is the pyramid scheme on the way up in terms of the leverage buying of those names that everyone on your show and most Wall Street professionals know that those names are likely fundamentally impaired. And so what I would say to people is we're in the age of decentralization. Somebody like a .72, a Steve Cohen, let's say, I would never bet against him. He's adapting right now to this new reality. And so, as you know, Skybridge has a lot of money with .72, but on the same side, we've taken a barbell approach where we've got money in Bitcoin, which I think is the epicenter of this democratization and this decentralization of finance. So I would say we have a leg on both sides.
So talk us through what you meant by the content of that tweet. What do you think has been wrong in the actions of the last week or two, and what do regulators need to do to stop it?
So look, the first part of this is we all see what's happening with GameStop. There are rich people on both sides of this, people who are trying, it appears, to manipulate this market. And that's what we don't know the details of. For a long time now, the SEC has pulled back and not made sure that we have an honest market. The whole point of having a stock market is so that people across this country, around the world, can invest in businesses, help create that capital accumulation so businesses have the money they need to grow and to prosper. Instead, what has happened is it's turned into a casino, so that market manipulators come in and they drive markets up or down and make a profit on it. It's called the gamification of the market. And all of a sudden, the billionaires and some hedge funds are yelling because they're not the only ones who make money when the manipulation works. But remember the other half of this. There are going to be a lot of people who are going to lose money around this, a lot of money that they can't afford to lose. This is why we need an SEC, just what's happened in the last couple of weeks. Let me take an example. The example around stock buybacks. We all understood what stock buybacks are about. They're about companies buying back their own stock so they can inflate the price of that stock. That's just the economics of what happens. And it was market manipulation up through the 1980s, when the Reagan-era SEC said, well, really not so much. And so what happens now is companies routinely manipulate their own stock. We're watching the same kinds of things